Hello, dear friends. We are on the eve of the first semi-final in Euro 24. It's a classic. It's Spain-France. Now, it's a game between the most spectacular and the most pragmatic teams. There are statistical indications. Most of them are in favor of Spain. Let's take such an indicator as total big chances. Total big chances means clean chances. It can be 1-1. It can be a very favorable situation in the box, and it excludes goals. So in those total big chances, in the 5 games that Spain played, it created 21 of those. 21. And France, 11. Feel the difference? So, despite the fact that Didier Deschamps, the national team coach of France, was continuously experimenting in every game, by the way, different attacking formations, the result was more or less the same. I think we can attribute part of it to Mbappe. Mbappe is playing with a mask. Mbappe is not in the greatest form. He came to the European Championship with already a back pain, as Didier Deschamps says. And this mask is already, I think, the last game was the 5th model they created for him, and he still doesn't feel comfortable. I mean, he feels he has 50% vision. He has sweat just flowing into his eyes. Well, 50% of Mbappe, let's say, and that's of course a big advantage to your adversary. But what is curious? Curious is, let's say, see the last game, the quarterfinal that Spain played against Germany. There, the total chances in total big chances was 4-5 in favor of Germany. I don't know if that possible penalty in the additional time, which was not awarded after a shot of Musala into the hand, no doubt about it, of Cucurella. But of course, that episode would have changed everything. But why I'm saying 4-5, because that's the only game in which Spain created less total big chances than less big chances than the opponent, Germany in this case. Now, what can I say about Anthony Taylor, the referee which did not give a penalty? Now, I always respected him very much. I mean, he refereed the most important games in the Premier League. He refereed very many, very important games in the European football and in World Championships. But in this case, I must say that he didn't show character. I mean, if you remember, at the beginning, when the video assistant appeared, there was a continuous debate among the referees. You know, who is the king of a pitch? Who is the chief judge? And basically came to an agreement that the chief judge is a central referee on the field. Not having gone to check the VAR on a part of Taylor, that's, I think, really a lack of character. He didn't want to make a decision. he delegated the decision to the video assistant. And that's really, for me, an indication of lack of character at this given moment, not in general, but at this given moment. He, to my understanding, or to my opinion rather, he did not want to take this responsibility. Now, but France created only 11 big chances in all the games that it played. It created 2 chances against Austria, and Austria created 2 chances, almost goal chances against France, but Austria was one of the surprises of this tournament, and that's not surprising. Netherlands created more than France, 2-1. Poland not. France created 5-2. France, Belgium 1-0. The game finished 1-0 plus clear goal chance had France. Belgium did not. With Portugal, which finished on penalties, as you well remember, it was the most difficult game in the quarterfinals in general of all the games, and Portugal lost on penalties 5-3. I think that now that's again very personal, but we can discuss it. You can write about it. I think that if Roberto Martinez, the coach of Portugal, would have substituted Ronaldo a little bit, substituted Ronaldo at a certain point, maybe at the end of the second half, maybe in the middle of the second half, maybe at the beginning of the second additional time, 15 minutes. I understand that Ronaldo is a penalty scorer, and that's important, but France was also without its main penalty scorer, Mbappe, who had already left the field. So I think that Ronaldo played a rather negative role in this game. I'm not saying that he's responsible. You lose, it's a team. You win, it's a team. But we expected much more from him. I mean, he did not show any leadership qualities in that game, not at all. So now I think we can go to what is the most important thing. Yeah. By the way, one thing in favor of France. France allowed 1 goal against it in all the 6 matches. Just 1 goal. And it was scored on penalty by the Polish striker Robert Lewandowski, a very well-known football player. In other matches, France did not. France did not allow its goal be violated. As far as Spain is concerned, they did not in the group phase, but in a knockout phase, they conceded a goal to Georgia, and they conceded a goal to Germany. And coming back to Anthony Taylor's decision, they may have considered 2. So basically, France has an hermetic defense. It's very, very strong. We can have a look at France's, let's take a look at what this morning Gazzetta dello Sport, the Italian leading sports newspaper, gave as probable lineups. So let's start from Spain, because Spain misses 2 defensive players. like Simon is in a goal. That's okay. It always has been like that. Cucurella is playing on the left. Laporte is playing, but Lenormand and Carvajal are disqualified. If we look at this, so the right side of Spain's defense is disqualified. Now, probably, and here I agree with Gazzetta dello Sport, that probably Nacho is going to take a place of Lenormand. Nacho is a very experienced player. He can play left, he can play right, he can play center, he can play flank. But in this case, probably, I say probably, he's going to be playing in the center. But the problem is Jesus Navas. Jesus Navas basically is an attacker, and he's quite quick. He reaches 32.6 kilometers per hour speed, being 38 years old, which is sort of, it's like Ronaldo. He is going to be playing against Mbappe. And Nacho is going to probably in some way help him out. But if Mbappe finds a good evening, well, sort of, it happens that all of a sudden a player forgets about all his trouble. And that's the difference between a great player and just a good player. Mbappe is a great player. He should be decisive today, because if he is not decisive today, well, we are going to say that he hasn't had a successful season. And remember, nobody is considered to be a great player without winning the Golden Ball. Yeah, and Mbappe still has never won a Golden Ball. So as far as midfield is concerned, we know that Pedri is injured until the end of the tournament. He will not play the final if Spain reaches a final. But Dani Olmo is a very, very convincible substitute. He played a wonderful game against Germany. He scored a goal, and he gave the pass into the box, which ended up by a winning goal. Williams and Yamal, well, we already learned how good they are. Yamal is 17 years old. He's really, he's very, very young, but he's one of the future great players in Europe and in the world, because he has high speed. His speed reaches now about 33 kilometers and he's very technical. Quite many football experts consider that he is going to move to the position of number 10 sooner or later. And Nico Williams is a fantastic dribbler, and he's very, very fast. He is fast. He reaches almost 35 kilometers per hour speed. So here is France. Not great defense, the usual midfield, and the usual strong attack. Are they going to be spectacular as usual? Well, what Luis de la Fuente said during the pre-match interview, he said that, well, we'll try to be spectacular, but the main game, obviously, in the semi-final is a victory. Now we get to France. Now, France does not have any injuries. France has no disqualification. So Koundé, Saliba, Upamecano, Hernandez are going to play in defense. Let's remember that Koundé basically is a central defender, but he's also very quick, and he is probably going to play against Dembele. Dembele, I personally am not crazy about him because his game is very predictable. Either he goes deep into the flank and crosses, and usually it's a blind cross. It's good, bad, it's bad. It's a blind cross. He doesn't see whom he crosses to. Or he moves to the center and shoots. And sometimes it's okay. Sometimes, most of the times, it's a miss. Now, I've rarely seen Dembele do a couple of dribbles and give a goal-scoring pass into the box. If he'll do it today, well, we'll change I'll change my mind. Now, Kolo Muani is going to play in the center, and Mbappe on the left. Well, about Mbappe, we said everything. Kolo Muani scored a very important goal for France. Well, he shot Vertonghen from the ball ricocheted from Vertonghen into the goal in a match against Belgium. It basically was an own goal, but still it was him who shot, and it was a very good shot, and he turned around himself and he shot it very, very well. Well, I don't know. I still think that France lacks somebody who can score, how should I say, an ugly goal. A center forward is a good center forward when he can score ugly goals. Just, put a foot, do something with his body. It can look very unaesthetic, but it's very efficient. And France would have a player like this, but of course he is not anymore young. He played in Milan, well, I would say a 50-50 season, but still in a penalty box, he's very, very, he's dangerous in a sense that defenders never leave him without attention. They never leave him alone. He's always with somebody. I'm talking about Giroud. But Giroud never played in none of the games. So I don't think at this point that Didier Deschamps is considering him as an alternative. And maybe if France will be losing or it will come to additional time, but at this point I don't see Deschamps playing Giroud, though it might be not a bad idea. As you see, from the lineup of France is excluded Antoine Griezmann, because Didier Deschamps considers him a little bit out of form. But the fact is that Deschamps was a player in all these games, the last one not very successfully, who was linking the midfield and attack. He was gluing it. And the attack of France depended on how Griezmann plays. Today you don't have such a player, but you have a midfield in France, Rabiot, Tchouameni, and Kanté, because Rabiot is coming back after disqualification, they are absolutely suited to to break up this very dangerous Spanish triangle in the midfield. Fabian Ruiz, Rodri, and Dani Olmo a little bit in front. Dani Olmo scores. Dani Olmo is in a very good shape, in a very good form, and I think he'll substitute Pedri quite well. You know, I don't know if it will be for 90 minutes, but I think that he'll substitute him very well. This lineups. I mean, most of the newspapers I had a look at Evening Standard in England. I had a look at Equipe in France. I had a look at La Marca in Spain. More or less, journalists are giving this kind of formation of lineup. So, in conclusion, France, it is very difficult to score against France, but for France, it's very difficult to score against the opponent. Spain scores easier, but allows goals. And today's defense, which is 50% new, let's say, even if Luis de la Fuente in the game against Albania, the last group game, which didn't count at all for Spain, he tried all of the other 10 field players, new ones, and still Spain won 1-0. So basically, all of his players, we have some, as they say, minutes in their legs. So they're ready, theoretically. So what else can I say? You know, as far as probabilities are concerned, you know, it's very difficult to say when two such teams play. I would say, from what I've seen until now, that Spain is playing really not only spectacular, but it's playing a difficult kind of football for any opponent. Because they're fast, because their transition is very good, because the game goes through Rodri and Fabian Ruiz, though Fabian Ruiz may also be not 100% fit because he left the field in the last game against Germany. He left limping, but I think it's not a muscular injury, so I think he should be fine. But everybody is giving preference to France, to Spain, sorry. You know what? I don't know. I'll maybe take a different side. I think that one game, France has to play well. At least one. It may lose, but it has to play well. And one more statistical detail. Spain is the only European team that in the European Championship, in the final stage, won 6 times in a row. 5 times in a row. 5 times in a row. 3 games in a group and 2 knockout games. 5 games in a row. If they win the 6th one, well, it's going to be a record. And if they win a 7th one, it's going to be almost an unreachable record. So I say France, but Spain is very likely to win. How about that? Is it clear? Okay. Thank you a lot for your attention, and see you tomorrow.